how not to be a toxic client or how to recognize a toxic client. For example, in the first meeting, if a client keeps repeating, I want sole legal custody and physical custody, meaning I want to decide about everything about our child without the other parent being abusive or involving in drugs or being actually not a bad parent just because the spouse hates them for cheating, for example. And therefore, they want the children to stay away from the cheating spouse. When I tell them this is a no-fault state, you don't get sole legal physical custody because the other parent cheated. They just cannot listen to it. And that is exactly one of the most important thing why it's important to have first initial paid consultation is to get on the same page. I had meetings where I would tell a client that, yes, if you receive more salary and the other parent or spouse is not receiving any salary at all, you will pay spousal support. And they would tell me, well, I didn't know, and that spouse didn't work for 20 years. That is also a reason for unrealistic expectation and not getting involved with that type of client. Number 2, lack of respect. In a professional attorney-client relationship, a client is engaging attorney, pays them hourly rate to listen to their opinion, guidance, and the most important thing is when they choose that attorney wisely, that they respect and follow their opinion. Even if there are disagreements, it's very important to get always on the same page. And one of the things I noticed in the initial, let's say 30-minute call, where a client is pushing the envelope too far when they're trying to speak for 50 minutes. When they schedule for half an hour, it's half an hour. If you would like to have an hour, just book an hour. So that's a sign of that client will potentially, possibly, most likely not respect time boundaries and also deadline boundaries. Communication. Lack of communication would be, for example, an example is when I send the client a deadline, for example, in a week, there is a deadline to file a responsive declaration, income and expense declaration, and I send them an instruction 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance, and they send me a really, really bad version of their income and expense declaration a night before or 1 or 2 hours before the deadline. That puts me under stress where I have to drop everything and help them to fill this form out. And even if I followed up before, they're still not either responding or they're too busy. That creates unnecessary stress. It creates mistakes in the declaration or income and expense in anything that is done in a super, super rushed way without being able to have a conversation or have a back and forth corrections. Next reason, late payments or non-payments. Slavery has been abolished long time ago. So when a client hires an attorney, they have to pay. And if they don't pay, an attorney is allowed to get out of the case. They don't have to work for free. This is absolutely solid line. It's written in the agreement. And one of the other reasons in the agreement is cooperating with an attorney, paying on time, disclosing all facts. In criminal law, an attorney probably wouldn't ask their client if you did it. In family law, an attorney would, because if a client, for example, is a drug addict, a lawyer would want to know before going to a custody hearing. So it's very important to disclose information that is important to the lawyer right away. Control, next reason. I had a client who had to tell me how to write my emails. You have to be more aggressive. You had to say, I demand, and da-da-da. I'm like, all emails are going to get attached as an exhibit to the court in a declaration to the court. I am always going to be professional. I'm not going to write, I demand. I request is another way to say, no, you have to write goodbye. Those are the things that I'm noticing. And that client became very, very controlling. Surprised that client was involved in domestic violence, accused of domestic violence. No wonder why, because at the beginning it was a very flowery face, admiring face, and then it became slowly like a snake on a rabbit trying to sort of squeeze me into something that I didn't let. Negative attitude and disrespecting boundaries. I know. I'm in the profession of people having an attitude because they don't like each other. And that's why they're here. I'm the end stop. They're getting divorced, but I'm not their spouse. So what happens, there is a term for that, I'm sure, in psychologist terms, but I believe they forget that I am on their side. And so sometimes they call and I know that it's not about me and they just start venting and I tell them, look, I am the attorney who can help you divide assets, divide custody, write plans, do the legal paperwork. I'm not qualified to be a therapist. And sometimes it goes a step further where they are so deeply unhappy that they micromanage everything we do and just become so negative that it's not even fun to help. I'm in the profession of helping, and it's rarely where I don't want to help, and that happens sometimes when a client is overly negative. So how to be a good client? Pay your bills on time, manage your emotions with a therapist, communicate clearly, set expectations, set a plan of action with an attorney, and that is a good framework for successful results and reaching good goals. Otherwise, you will end up on attorney number 5. And guess what? When I interview clients and I find out there were more than one attorney, I investigate. Why? And each time I made the mistake of helping a client where I was a lawyer number 4, I regretted it. So very important to pick your lawyer wisely and stay with your lawyer and listen and get your divorce smoothly done. I hope you like this video. If you like, click like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye!